In this video, you get to hear a terrifying story about the infamous Serbian dancing lady. Dare you listen to the story that will give you nightmares? There have been rumors about a mysterious dancing woman roaming the city's dark alleys for a while now. She is known as the Serbian dancing lady, and her story scares the hell out of people. This strange figure appears only at night, dancing through the deserted streets with strange, unnatural movements. Her dance seems to be a twisted version of a traditional Serbian dance. It was a night like any other, with the moon hidden behind thick clouds. Only a few brave souls dared to brave the night and set off into the dark streets in search of the Serbian dancing lady. As they had been looking for her for some time, they came across a peculiar figure in a dark alley. She was dressed in a sophisticated black dress with a veil partially hiding her face. Her body moved in an unnatural way, like a kind of dance. The group stood and watched in fascination, attracted by her confusing movements, but there was something unsettling about the way she moved. Slowly, she walked closer to the group. What they found remarkable was that she walked madly backwards. Nobody knew what to do except for the stories that circulated. Anyone who looked into her eyes would be chased with a knife or some other dangerous object. But no one knew whether those stories would be real. A young man whose curiosity was stronger than his fear still wanted to find out the truth and then looked into her eyes. The rest of his group of friends warned him, but his interest overcame his fear. As his friends ran off, the boy kept looking at the woman. Time seemed to stand still. A cold shiver slipped over his body and his heart pounded heavily in his throat. The Serbian dancing lady turned around and started smiling, her lips slowly curling upwards in a hideous grin. The boy turned and desperately ran away through the deserted streets trying to escape, but the Serbian dancing lady followed on his heels, her footsteps sounding like echoes in his ears. It seemed like she was right behind him. He ran through dark alleys, across deserted squares, and past ghostly buildings, heading for his home. This was the shortest route, but also the most terrifying, especially in the darkness of the night. Meanwhile, in a panic, he called the police to report that he was on the run from the Serbian dancing lady. Much to his frustration, the police officer did not believe his story and laughed at him. She even put down the phone before he could fully tell his story. He felt desperate and left alone. He was on his own as the Serbian dancing lady got closer and closer. Fear made the boy fall over a stone that was just slightly higher than the others. Exhausted, he fell to his knees and looked around anxiously. And there she stood, the Serbian dancing lady, her eyes wide. Her dancing had stopped, but her grin was more intense than ever before. She slowly pulled out a large knife and started laughing, a terrifying sound that sent shivers down his spine. The Serbian dancing lady slowly approached, her eyes full of malicious joy as she held the knife firmly. The young man knew there was no escape. He felt trapped in a nightmare, hoping he would wake up and realize that all this was just a nasty dream. But alas, this was harsh reality. His breathing grew fainter and his vision began to blur. On the verge of consciousness, he heard her whispering, softly in his ear. The words were unintelligible. What exactly, she whispered, can only be guessed. But the sounds penetrated deep into his consciousness and caused indescribable fear. Suddenly she made a swift movement with her knife, and he felt a sharp pain in his side. This soon became 2 and then 3. She could not stop. He sank further down on the ground and his breathing was weaker than ever. The Serbian dancing lady moved even closer. Above him, her face was now clearly visible under the veil. Her eyes were hollow, like a dark hole he was staring into. This was his chance to get some quick proof that the lady existed after all. He grabbed his phone and started taking pictures. Soon he regretted the pictures a lot. Because the lady heard the clicking and flashing of the phone and got angry, she snatched the phone and threw it far away. Blood continued to flow from the boy, and he slowly lost consciousness. The next day, an old lady who was walking her dog found the young man's lifeless body. Alarmed, she immediately called the police, who quickly arrived at the scene. The corpse was riddled with numerous stabbings, making it difficult to identify. The police officer who had received the earlier call from the murdered boy about the Serbian dancing lady felt an oppressive feeling in his chest. Maybe this mysterious lady really existed after all. The neighborhood where the body was found was thoroughly searched. To their surprise, detectives found the young man's phone, which he had used to take photos. They searched the phone and what they found on it was terrifying. They could clearly see in the photos the hollow dark eyes of a woman-like figure. These photos were taken last by the boy before he was killed. So was this the so-called Serbian dancing lady? And was this proof that she existed? They decided not to release the footage to the public, fearing panic and chaos. The legend of the Serbian dancing lady spread through the city like wildfire. People remain vigilant and avoid the lonely alleys and dark places where she could possibly appear. So be warned, the Serbian dancing lady waits in the darkness, ready to perform her dance. If you ever encounter her, close your eyes and run away. What do you think? She whispers in the ears of her victims. Let us know in the comments.